And yeah, we are recording. So good evening, Dr. Kiltz, my friends. This is my name is George, as everybody knows on my channel, Good Enough For You. And I'm fortunate enough to have my very first interview, which I'm the host of, with the legend that is Dr. Robert Kiltz. So welcome, Dr. Kiltz. How are you?
George, I am fantastic, and it is really, really a pleasure to be hanging out with you. We've spoken before, and I know your stuff. I'm really inspired, and it's just a conversation. I think that's one of the most important parts of all of us. We're here in a community, getting a chance to talk to our brothers and sisters around the globe, and we're all it's a friendship. That's what I love.
It is, absolutely. The community to me is the most important part of this lifestyle. It was something which I never expected to find when I started 3.5 years ago. I'm amazed at what has happened to me. I'm amazed at the health results, but I'm also amazed that I've now got a community spreading from Eastern Australia right through to Western America, right through the UK. You know, I've got a great friend down in Southern California, and I've got a great friend in DC, over in Queensland in Australia, and everywhere in between. It's just been an amazing journey, Dr. Kiltz. So yeah, I mean, really what I'd like to talk to you about to begin with is the community itself. Because obviously we all had to start somewhere. And I can tell you that my journey into the carnivore community started with Larry Allhands, the carnivore soldier, back in August of 2023. But I don't know much about how you found. I know that you've been carnivore for 15 years, but how did you find the carnivore community? And then who was your first contact, and how did you manage to bring it together so effectively under the Kiltz Mighty Tribe?
We call it the first contact, right?
Yes, exactly.
And ultimately, you know, my little elevator speech, I'm a kid from LA, kicked out of school in a gang, couldn't read, father in jail. I managed to go to medical school after I broke a leg when I was like 19. I met a hippie doctor who inspired me to go into medicine. I went to the counselor's office, and I looked at what it took to become a doctor, and I said, forget it, ain't happening. But I was diligent enough and hardworking enough. I accepted enough failure in my life that eventually went to medical school, residency, internal medicine at first, and switched to OBGYN. I practiced for a year. Then I went to a fellowship in reproductive endocrinology and infertility. Let's say I graduated medical school in 85. I graduated high school in 74. I just went to my 40th year medical school reunion, and I'm about to turn 70 in a few months. So I got tired of California, LA, Northern California. I moved to upstate New York. I live on a lake near the cows and corn. And I thought, oh, this is my life. But eventually I got fired from a job when I was 41, had no idea what I'm going to do in life. So I decided I'm not going to have another boss in my life. So I started my own practice. Through the years, I did OBGYN, fertility, and about 2002 or 3, I started integrating acupuncture, massage, meditation, prayer to my practice of medicine because it's very stressful. I thought, wow, if we can all reduce stress, we can, just go along our business, improve our health and wellness. And about 2005, 4 or 5, my patients were doing yoga, acupuncture, and paleo diet. I'm like, what is paleo diet? And you're getting pregnant on paleo diet. So I started digging into paleo diet, reading about it. I'm Italian, Mediterranean. I suffered from migraines, arthritis, psoriasis, depression. I go down the list, bowel bleeding. And I found paleo from my patients to help them get pregnant. And I tried it, and I'm like, wow, I'm feeling better. And then I found keto, and I have no idea how I found carnivore, but it was about 15 years ago. I found someone on the internet that was ripped, only ate meat, and didn't exercise. And I'm like, that one's for me. And so carnivore found me like keto and paleo found me, like Jesus Christ found me and saved me from my misery of depression, anxiety, and carnivore, like voila. I was blogging 20 years ago about meditation, prayer, and positivity. Then I began to add paleo, keto, and carnivore, write about it, blog about it, go around the world and just talk so much about it. I'm pretty much bacon, eggs, butter, beef. And recently I started adding fish, but I focus on positivity and community and Kiltz Mighty Tribe. I started blogging 5 a.m. every day, Monday through Friday. And now we do it 6 a.m. And our community is growing. And again, we're meeting our brothers and sisters around the globe, whether you're vegan, vegetarian, Mediterranean, pescatarian, or carnivorian. I'm working to include all of us, sharing these ideas of positivity and inclusiveness. And I think carnivore is top of the line. I've seen so many people heal on keto and carnivore. And again, faith and fasting are other things that I really think are important. So, I love these conversations because it's such an opposite approach for most of us, this keto carnivore world. And I love talking about it because, wow, if you could simply heal your diseases, not need the drugs, dissections, or doctors, or, for me, my grandson is like so important in my life and helping people that are suffering from infertility. And I own and run CNY fertility centers, one of the largest, most affordable and integrative fertility centers in America. But we see people from all over the globe. And I don't know if you're a father or grandfather, but it's like, what else is there in life?
It's very true. Yeah, I'm actually a stepdad. I never was blessed with children of my own, but I literally inherited two excellent children because my wife was widowed very, very young through a nasty accident. I'm an ex-soldier. Phil, the father of her two children, was an ex-sailor, so we look after each other in the service and that sort of thing. And I now have 4 step grandchildren as well.
I love it.
I got two of each, two boys and 2 girls, and it's at my age of 60, it's just wonderful to have them around. They keep you young, don't they, Dr. Kiltz? That's a great thing about it. And
oh, absolutely, they keep us younger, and there's nothing better than helping build families. And whether they're my father never knew his father. He died before my father was born. His stepfather, Joe Kiltz, adopted him, and my father always cherished Joe, and my last name is his last name. And again, we're all brothers and sisters, and building our families. And I know in this world of medicine, I've seen such suffering, and I have pictures on my wall of people: Craig Humphrey, Jim Slotnick, Dave Kilmer, and my sister Marianne, who inspire me every day. These are people that have died between 28 and 65, and of diseases that I'm learning are likely all related to our deadly lifestyles and diets.
Exactly.
So inspired and seeing so many people heal their diseases, suddenly become pregnant, deliver a baby without my science and medicine. And so again, it's our children's children. Our work today is for our future children, and we're all related. We're all brothers and sisters that came. So I always look and imagine all the people that have ever lived before me are our army to help us on our mission to help our brothers and sisters and our children's children heal. There can be nothing better than that. Our accomplishments or how we can help our brothers and sisters, our families, heal what hurts, and reproduction is the foundation.
Exactly. Yeah, I think what I like to talk about is our legacy, what we are going to leave behind us. I had a fantastic conversation. Well, I had a conversation with a fantastic Lynn Tucker Carnivore. I think you know Lynn and Ribeye Ranger, don't you, Dr. Kiltz?
Yes.
Yeah, I had a fantastic conversation with. I had a fantastic conversation with her today, because we were talking about how it's people are dying around us far too young. Lynn herself is the same age as you, so 10 years older than me. And she's saying about the people that she's lost, and I was saying about the people that I've lost. And there's been quite a few in the last few years, all in their 50s and 60s, as a matter of interest. Far too young. But what she was saying is she's so frustrated and so angry that we can't save these people. But as I pointed out to her, it's not necessarily about our generation. Our generation, we can save some people, but I know a couple of people out there who are suffering. I lost my best friend from boot camp, died about 2 weeks ago of lung cancer. It's too late to save him. But as I pointed out to her, it is what we leave behind. We are not here for our generation. We are here for the next generations. So our legacy, and this is the most important thing, is what we leave behind us. Our legacy will be a better world, hopefully, for the next generation and the generation beyond. That is what I'm attempting to achieve, I suppose, in my own very small way. So, and I believe that the community is one of the most important parts of that, because it's how we share. We share the stories, as you like to say. As you point out, the Bible, which is a book of stories, has had far more effect on the world than the JAMA or the BMJ ever has, or ever will have. So now, what I'm interested in is again the community. I didn't find you until about March of this year. I started noticing that you were doing your daily lives at. I'm about 5 hours ahead of you, and then there was a nice time because through you I met the wonderful Stephanie Taylor, who I know that you are friends with as well, and she has actually become pretty much one of my best friends in the carnivore community. And it was through her live with you that I really started watching you every day. And I reached out through our mutual friend Lauren Tucker, found Stephanie, and I became very much part of the Kiltz Mighty Tribe. I then discovered the app. And I've joined the Kiltz Mighty Tribe on the app. But what I don't really have an idea of the time scale before March of this year. How did the Kiltz Mighty Tribe come into being?
Well,
have you seen it grow?
Well, the answer, community, and the community to me is the most important thing. And we're really, COVID kind of made us a little crazy in this world. And ultimately there's so much separation for us all in this world, and a lot of loneliness and a lot of suffering. And one of the best things you could do is listen to someone else suffering and be able to open up and have a conversation with those people. And I was raised Catholic, lost my way. Jesus put me into the training grounds. It's kind of like the grinder, right? And ultimately, at the end of the day, if you add some hot water and the soothing smell of beautiful aroma of coffee or tea, and I found my way to Jesus Christ probably around 20 years ago-ish, maybe a plus or minus a little more. And I love to go to church. I used to go with my mom. Her dad loved it. As Catholics, we went to Episcopal because they like to sing. And so the community I really love. I found community with Steak and Butter Gal, Ken Berry's community, Sean Baker, many others in the space, Kelly Hogan, Lisa Wiedemann, just to name a few. And a Steak and Butter gang with Bella was like one of my first. I just love what she's doing. Now, I grew up in LA in a gang. So, it's like, well, you could do a gang. But I thought, hey, Kiltz Mighty Tribe, because we're tribal. We're ancient indigenous peoples of the world. And that tribal community really gave a place for me to say, hey, listen, I'm alone. I need people to talk to. And I think that's kind of my nature of growing up. I was, in many ways, I think I was a peacemaker in my family who had lots of problems and lots of separation, divorce. My father was in the Navy. He had a lot of issues, I think, related to that. So I found Kiltz Mighty Tribe a place to get to know people. When you travel to these meetups, I've been out to England and Australia and Canada and around the country and the globe. We're realizing that our community is far greater. There's tremendous amount of hardship, struggles, and suffering. We don't know. To me, I have no idea when I'm going to die. And I leave it up to God. He's got a plan for me. And as I've dug deeper into faith, positivity, and a lion-like life, that we are warriors, and not to fight against, but recognize there is a little bit warrior nature in our fighting. But ultimately, there's that yin and yang, and it's all of us working together. And I think this wrestling and this fighting in this community, and sometimes we disagree with each other, but that's the beauty of it. We're learning, and my stories of my friends that have passed between 28 and 65, and many more at all sorts of ages, we're all dying when we're supposed to. And in some way, from the diseases we're supposed to, there are teachers, there are guides, and there are again, our brothers and sisters that are part of the mission of mastering life, and not fearful, but faithful. And that's what I like about it. But we do like, oh man, they died. Why'd they die? They shouldn't have died. But in fact, he already knows everything we need to know. But he's placed us in an experience through our communities, through our enemies and our enemies. It's all within us, right? It's part of the yin and yang. That's why I love Star Wars, and I love the trilogies, and the Game of Thrones or Vikings. And at the end of the day, our enemies are our brothers and sisters. And ultimately, when we begin to embrace that this is a universal global community, and there are going to be times where we're angry, mad, and sad. And there are times where we're going to be hopeful, loving, and kind. And I think that's just part of the universe. And I think religions, communities, and this has enabled us to create a world that we're living longer and better than we've ever lived before. There's always going to be suffering, but it's part of the journey.
That's very true.
And again, whether you're a vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, or carnivore, and whether you're an atheist, a theist, or an agnostic, or whatever political or religious organizations you're part of, it's part of the journey. And I love Joseph Campbell. I read voraciously. I listen to books, and I love the stories that you share, or Mitch Weiss, our old guy Carnivore, or Carrie Mann, or Healing Humanity, or again the all of it is part of the journey. And I love watching and listening. And sometimes I love saying, George, you don't know what you're talking about. And you go, Kiltz, you're crazy, right? And look at Kiltz. Like, I'm a Mediterranean. I went primarily to carnivore. Now I'm adding some fish, and I'm softening the message. Like, oh, I know what I'm talking about. Maybe I don't.
Yeah, I think, yeah. I think sometimes the carnivore community is far too dogmatic over what we can and what we can't eat. I eat fish occasionally. I use the acronym SMASH, which is salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines, and herrings. So yeah, I think sometimes we have to be a little less strict on it, less hard on ourselves, shall we say? Because it's about enjoying life as well as it's not a religious. We don't have to beat ourselves up all the time just because we have, as you say, occasionally some French fries fried in tallow. You don't need to beat yourself up. So there we go. But I would like to tell you a little story, actually, Dr. Kiltz, about which you are very, very much a part of, about how I community into the American community. Obviously, when I joined the KMT, then I joined your coaching course. I became part of the American community. But to my great surprise, on July the 11th, I entered the KMT draw, and I won it. And I thought, I was working at the time, so I didn't actually know what the prize was. So I was half expecting a Kiltz hat or a shit t-shirt. No, it was in fact a trip to Wyoming with Tyler McCann for the Rendezvous City Beef Roundup. So it was you that kindly sponsored me to go to Wyoming. Now, as we know, Tyler's father-in-law died, unfortunately, shortly before, so he was unable to host it. So he thought, George is going to be so disappointed. It's going to be a complete disaster. But I said, no, Tyler. I said, okay, so the Rendezvous City Beef Roundup is not there anymore, but you and Wyoming are. I said, I'd like to come. He said, would you really just to come to see me? I said, absolutely, I would. So I booked the flight, got the flight, went over, cancelled my booking in the Holiday Inn in Riverton. Instead, went and stayed on his farm with the family, and then it was through him that I met the wonderful Laurie Tibbetts, who was involved, and then she is great friends with Angela Lero, so she introduced me to Angela. Angela and I have now become great friends. I'm great friends with Tyler McCann.
Yes.
And not only that, but I also Tyler's wife Angela is a trainee pastor for the Church of the Nazarene in Jasper, actually very near Riverton in Wyoming, and I then became part of that community. I went to the church on the Sunday. We had an absolutely fabulous time. This is a story which you're going to love, which I've not had a chance to tell you, because they had a guest preacher that day, a Dr. Musa from Kenya. And he came to me and I said, hello, Dr. Musa, I am not of this community. I am from Great Britain. And he said, oh, George, he said, I had a church in Weston-super-Mare over in England. I said, Dr. Musa, that's 17 miles from me. So I'm sure you'll get the joke that basically he and I had traveled all the way around the world to meet each other. So that it just shows that it's this incredible community. We are a worldwide community now. But as you almost certainly know, the steak and butter girl, Bella Marr, she actually got married at Tyler's house the previous year. That's where they had her wedding. And I think you might have been there. And I certainly know that Anthony Chafee was there. So
I was the officiant at the wedding.
Exactly. So a year later, and I was there having a barbecue in the same garden that you were the year before.
I love it.
It is such a small world, and it's thanks to you that I actually got there. And I had that sheep and lion moment as well on July the 11th versus July the 12th. On July the 11th, Alia informed me that I'd won the trip to Wyoming. My first reaction was that of a sheep. I can't do this. It's too far. It's too expensive. I cannot do it. And I actually emailed Alia to that effect on my evening of July. The morning of July the 12th, I woke up and I was a lion. And I said to my wife, Lainey, I said, do you mind if I go to go to Wyoming. She said, no, George. She said, this is the opportunity of a lifetime that Dr. Kiltz has given to you. Take it. So I emailed Alia back and said, that's it, Alia, I'm coming to Wyoming. So there was much rejoicing. And as we know, there was a tragedy in between. But sometimes tragedy can lead to another door opening. And it allowed me to actually get a lot closer to Tyler than I would have done had he been very busy with the roundup. And what is the knock-on effect of that, Dr. Kiltz? The knock-on effect of that is I kind of become part of the organization for next year. And I'll be in Wyoming next year, and I'm certainly hoping that you will be as well. So
I will be there.
Yeah.
And it. So this is the interesting part, and there's a lot of polarization, but sometimes we could see those things as shining lights to bring us together and love and forgiveness. And ultimately, our community is global. We're all brothers and sisters from the same from the same mold, essentially. And whether it's Jesus, Muhammad, Moses, Abraham, Lao Tse, Buddha, it doesn't matter. It's all about a brotherhood. And I think when we see the brotherhood, the sisterhood, the kindhood that we're all bringing together, it's amazing. And I feel so grateful to be in this community. And again, the carnivore, we need to think of it like a lion, because it almost doesn't matter whether you eat meat or not. It's about a lifestyle, about a inner feeling and an extension of who we all really are. And I think we are lions, not sheep, although in some way we have felt like sheep. But for me, the Lion King, and Jesus Christ to me is the master of that, he's leading sheep to become the lions that they truly are. And our job as lions is to elevate the sheep and all of us, right? And a little bit, we're a community and a herd in our modern world, but we're still unique and individual, instinctual, but we're really tribal.
Absolutely. To me, the thing about being the lion spirit is the courage, because we are going against the received wisdom of the establishment. We are going against the flock mentality, the herd mentality. Everybody knows that we're supposed to eat 5 fruit and veg every day. Everybody knows that cholesterol causes heart attacks. Everybody knows that you need fiber in order to have a good gut motility. But of course, we are actually saying, no, we don't believe that. So we are having the courage to go against the establishment, the received wisdom. And as I think I told you, I'm very interested in your take on how you eventually found your way to faith, because I've studied Christianity and Islam, Christianity at school and Islam in the army and at university. But I didn't find my way to faith until the miracle happened for me. And now, I've yet to find my way fully to church, but to actually visit the Church of the Nazarene over in Wyoming was great. And I was gifted this fabulous book, which is The Way of the Cowboys, New Testament with Psalms and Proverbs. So I keep this on my desk now to refer to when I want to. So yeah, it's been an absolutely amazing journey. And what I want to talk to you now about is, what's your vision? I know you are a visionary, Dr. Kiltz. You have a vision for the future. I've heard you mention the Kiltz Health University, whether you will be able to officially give degrees or not. But I understand about the University of Life, and you want to create a college and an academy almost, in which you want 1,000 health coaches. I'm very proud to be one of the first 60 odd. So what's your vision for the future? How do you see the KMT and the community growing, and what is our role as coaches within it?
So you said something about your path to faith, and then the other is my vision of the academy and the courses in how that affects our world. What is
Exactly.
what is my vision of that? So
yeah.
Okay, so let me just touch base on the faith path, if I may.
Absolutely.
And so I was raised Catholic, although I couldn't read and I also couldn't sit still. And so I went to catechism, but I didn't understand it. And so I just kind of followed a little bit what they said. In kind of high school. By high school, my family had stopped going to church, Catholics, and then I'm a math guy, a numbers guy, and I didn't understand God because how can God do all the terrible things in the world? There must not be a God. Science knows the answer. I'm a scientist, and I focused on that. And then I got depressed. I went through a divorce. I had other problems and challenges. I have one child. She pretty much said, "You don't exist anymore," when she was 13. And that was really difficult for me to go through. My friend Craig Humphrey is a Buddhist, a psychologist, and began to introduce meditation, prayer, Buddhism, and philosophy. This was like 25 plus years ago, philosophy and I began to utilize and integrate acupuncture, meditation, prayer, yoga into my daily practice. I actually began. I would write daily blogs and a daily quote, and I wrote my daily inspirations book. I wrote a daily intentions book, and I would publish this online 20 years ago. And eventually I started like trying to figure out this thing called God. And I read The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. I'm a voracious reader. So I couldn't read, and I went to become a voracious reader. I'd read everything. I'd listen to everything. And my question is, God, who and what is God? And I read a book called The Three Magic Words and The Secret and The Shack and Man's Search for Meaning and The Alchemist, just to name a few books that gave me the insight and idea that God is not out there. God is in here, in all of us. My brain, my thinking creates the world I see and I live and I experience. And so in the beginning was the Word is and always will be the way, because God is the Word. As I realized I control my thoughts of what this is, and as I begin to understand the power of my thinking, I can understand the power of God. Because they're not separate, they're one. And so to me, the philosophy of Christianity and Jesus Christ is the master philosophy. But I've read the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, the New, the Old Testament, all of the biblical stories, and the stories thousands and thousands of years before the written word, as we sang and danced and all the mysteries of humanity, to recognize that faith is all we have. And faith is the ability in the unseen, as basically that which I wish for, I see as if it is, and God will give it to me in the way I wish or better. And ultimately, it's all good. It's all good enough. and again, we're all going to become fertilizer. And it's, you never imagine someone, I'm sorry they died, because the only other opposite of that, they never lived.
That's true, yeah.
And so we should joy in everyone's passing, because they had the opportunity to physically participate and contribute to life, but it's an eternal, infinite existence because it's spiritual energy. So that's my path into understanding faith in God and the power within us. And so that actually is my foundation, to recognize that what degree did God have, does Jesus, Muhammad, Moses, Abraham have, to said you can go out and preach the truth about God? God gave it to us. God said, you're alive. You don't need a degree or church or school or anything. You've got it already. Go out and preach the good news. And the good news is God's word, which is all of humanity, by the way. And so I have found this place from a kid kicked out of school and again couldn't read, father in jail, to say, listen, get up and go out and share the word. And again, who's accepted to Kiltz Academy or Kiltz University? Everyone. And who amongst us should certify us as you now have a degree and then you could go out and teach this? Only one person, God, within yourself. Now, are we working to work with other entities that can honor and accept our teachings? Maybe, but do you really need it? You don't. And this is where Charlie Kirk was very inspiring. He says, you don't need to go get a degree in a university, go out and teach it. Simply know that God is within all of us and have faith. He had some beliefs that maybe you and I might not have, but he went out to share his words. So did Jesus Christ, Moses, Muhammad, Abraham. And are you and I any less valuable or more valuable than that? We're the same. And so I love Jordan Peterson and Peterson Academy. And I'm constantly learning and reading and listening every single day. I learn from George, Good Enough for You. I read infinite, and we want to connect in positive, loving, kind ways. And so I see Kiltz Health and Kiltz Academy, Kiltz University, I don't care what you want to call it, but the more we read, we share, we listen, we learn, we're all growing together. And basically, my intention is infinitely share and pass on the degree of you are smart and capable and talented because you're a live human being.
And
I don't care what they think.
And we all have a story, and we all should be out there telling it, and we should all be sharing it, and we should all be sharing each other's. Now, you mentioned Jordan Peterson. Now, that has prompted me to refer back to my conversation with our great friend Lynn Tucker, Carnivore today. She flagged up the fact that Michaela put out an announcement today. Jordan is not well. He has been in ICU. So Lynn has asked me that I appeal to my viewers and to the KMT, by extension, that we actually pray for Jordan Peterson. So I imagine you're aware of what the situation is with Jordan, Dr. Kiltz, but we wish him, we pray for him. We hope him to pull through. CIRS, which I believe that Michaela mentioned, is not something I fully understand, sirs. But can we just all of us put our hands together for Jordan?
I listened to Michaela. Michaela and I did an interview together in her home in Arizona. I've sat with Tammy Peterson, and we interviewed each other, and it was a great spiritual connection. And Jordan Peterson is certainly one of the people that have inspired me, and I listen and have learned from him, inspired by him every day. And we should all pray for all of us on this journey for a spiritual ride. And none of us know when and from what cause we're going to move to the next level, but we're all on that journey. And a faithful, creative ride for all of us. And I mean, of all the people that have been, Jordan Peterson, like, I've read all of his books. I've been to his seminars, and I recently had a bout of colitis for about 10 days. And where did I get it? I don't know. Bacteria, yeast, mold are all microbes that are everywhere. And we're highly at risk of inflammatory reactions. I don't care if you're a carnivore, a ketovore, a paleovore, or a vegan. We have no idea what's going to get us and what we're going to be afflicted by. But we all can pray and work together in healing and love. And that's kind of the journey I focused on more in my life. Love and forgiveness, a ho'oponopono, right? I love you. Thank you. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. These are so many ways that we're not being punished. We're being praised, and God loves us all. And all of it is part of the training grounds. That's the part I'm realizing. And think about the biblical stories in all religions, right? You're born, you lived, you died, and you lived a happy existence. Well, who's going to be inspired by that? Right?
It's very true, yeah.
The inspiration is
it's amazing.
He suffered. He lived through pain and depression, and he died young, or he was miserable. But there's something in every story. And that's why I love Man's Search for Meaning of Viktor Frankl. I mean, he forgave. And this is where our job to recognize in who's one of our biggest inspirations is Jordan Peterson and Jesus Christ and Moses and Muhammad, Abraham. All of the stories are there for us. We're basically warriors. And through our suffering, we're strengthening. And really at the end of Star Wars, everyone's hanging out in heaven and looking down at our brothers and sisters and like, this is part of the journey. That's the part I love more than anything.
Yeah. And that's a very good segue, because to talk of journeys, as you know, I will be journeying across to visit you in Wyoming next year. And I've heard you mention several times that you are basically planning what sounds almost like a world tour next year, Dr. Kiltz. Am I right in thinking that? Because I spoke to you the other day. As you know, I am, along with 4 other people, organising the Great British Meetup. And I did wonder whether you would be coming, and you said, "Oh, absolutely, I'm coming." So we're looking forward to having you. But I understand you're going a lot further than that. So what are your travel plans for next year?
Well, let's see. I'm actually going to go to Lisbon, Portugal, and Barcelona, Spain. I haven't been to either of those places. Next week for about 10 days to go travel and connect and enjoy with my partner Tia, and hopefully I'm going to get some blogging content to share with our brothers and sisters around the globe in all aspects of connecting in life. I am planning to Europe and Australia. I haven't been to Japan yet, or other parts of Asia. I've talked to Rina Alawali about Dubai. And I've talked to some people in Africa and Mexico and South America. So I'm working on it. I know for sure I'm planning on Australia, England for now. And I'm a full-time fertility doc who owns and runs CNY fertility centers. I blog about it. I connect with it. And my job in life is really to travel the globe and share the story about all of our human beingness, and our life is about, traveling the world and connecting in the world. And so if I'm invited, I always say, invite Kiltz. I'll say yes. If there's not a conflict of, right now I've invited to up to Mount Tremblant with Scott Everson and our good friend Chris Brandlin has some stuff at the same time. I can't be both places. I'm going to send a message. I'm going to send a video, a podcast. Then again, that's the beauty of the world. we're all meeting people everywhere. And so one is join communities, connect, create your own blogging or own podcasting. And if it's hard and if you're nervous about doing it and fearful, that's when God says it's time. Make some mistakes. Never miss a steak, I say. and again, be open to all peoples of the world. We're let's kind of like loosen up on the bone. Let's not be so dogmatic, Kiltzy. And again, I'm talking to Kiltz, and listen and learn from each other. And that's what we're here to do, and travel. My partner Tia loves to travel the world. She travels alone all the time, and I've done a little bit, but I love our communities. Melissa Mia has invited me to come down to Australia. You and team members have invited me to come to England. I've invited to go back to Wyoming, and all over the globe. I'm working with Healing Humanity and making the new movie, the animal movie, and others, and that are and make your movie. I'm creating a Kiltz documentary, a little bit on the Kiltz story, and that's the part I love. Tell your story, and if you're afraid, God's saying do it anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not a movie maker myself, but I am quite a good word monger, and I do have 3 books in the pipeline, one of which will be my own story of how I discovered the carnivore lifestyle, how I healed myself, but more importantly, how I found and developed the community. And that community has led me to be a member of the KMT and of Healing Humanity. So I'm a member of both those organizations. And it's just been a remarkable journey. Now you are a fertility doctor, and what you do is you deal in hope, not with only with the people with the chronic diseases, but also to those who find themselves childless through no fault of their own. So how does the ketogenic lifestyle, how does it affect, why does it make a difference, doctor? Can you tell me why it makes a difference to fertility?
Well, you talked about SIRS and chronic inflammation and mast cell activation. Our friend Lynn, Dr. Peterson, Jordan Peterson talks about this. Mikhail's been talking about it. They've suffered, their whole family. Inflammation is the leading cause of all disease. In general, the primary cause of inflammation is I believe, plant sugars, plant antigens, plant chemicals, and the fermentation of plants and the microbes that are everywhere, by the way. Yeah. And a paleo keto carnivore lifestyle, I think, reduces GI gut inflammation, which will then reduce liver, vascular, systemic, and organ inflammation by adding more fat, cooking the plants well, eating less frequently. And to me, carnivore is, and I know our good friend the Lion Diet, Michaela Peterson, shares of the Lion Diet, which is basically fatty meat, salt, and water. I mean, it's the ultimate elimination diet. And I believe rare to raw is the very best thing you can do. And I just finished a 15-day fast back in making all of us healthy again. That's what we're doing, right? And cook your meat rare to raw. And again, did we wait for the cook before we ate? Because if we waited, someone else ate it or ate us. And so keto, paleo, keto, and carnivore are all low to no carbohydrates plants, and basically fatty meat diets. Now, a vegetarian eating eggs, cream, cheese, and butter, quiche, is minimizing, eliminating plants and not eating animals. It's an animal product. Now, as a vegan, it's harder because you're not getting probably the healthiest food we can get is some animal fatty meat or fatty milk, cheese, butter, or cream. But add the coconut oil, avocado oil, olive oil, hemp seed oil, believe it or not, and cook the plants well to simplify them. Eat less frequently. To me, one meal a day is the very best for all of us, and throw in some fasting in there. And so paleo, keto, carnivore significantly reduce inflammation in the gut and then systemically. And I don't know of many people that are allergic to ribeye steak or, beef, pork, chicken, or lamb. Now, snakes, some fish, there may be a little more allergies, so you have to be careful. And there are the alpha gals out there that may be a little bit more pork and beef. I don't know where bison falls into that, but chicken, fish, and turkey in general, and lamb, I don't think falls into that very much. So keto is for everyone. And carnivore is getting the really sort of like that narrow band of lions out there. I think it's the top. I would say paleo keto is good enough for you, but carnivore is the best for all of us. But it might not be beef or bison or lamb or goat or pork or turkey or iguanas. But Rick, Georgia Mopar. And again, that's the beauty of the community. Everywhere around the world, we're coming together, and through social media, we're not here to. I'm not here. You can be a vegan. You could be a herbivore or a carnivore or an omnivore. We're all the same, all right? And physiologically, biologically, and anatomically, we're kind of pretty much the same.
We are, yeah.
And we are. And that's why, there aren't infinite unique individual diets. As our good friend Anthony Chafee says, species specific. And our good friend Ken Berry, our PhD, proper human diet. Keto is for everyone. Carnivore is for anyone who wants to basically move from being a sheep,
Absolutely.
a lamb, to a lion. And again, we're having fun with this. This is not if you don't do this. My grandmother smoked Pall Malls, drank Manhattans, and lived to 104. She was an Italian Mediterranean lifestyle. She's from Italy. And if any of us can tell me the diet that means you're going to live the longest, go at it. The last I looked, we don't know that one.
No, exactly right. Yeah.
But if you're from chronic inflammatory conditions, which pretty much every one of them is that, keto's good, but carnivore is the best.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, so the time is going past really quickly. We're not far off the hour, and I do have one actual question, which a colleague of mine who is not a carnivore has actually asked me to talk about, and that's we are at the moment sort of having a look at dry fasting and the implications of it based on the book The Phoenix Protocol. Yeah, it was back in April that our mutual friend Lauren told me about the fact she was dry fasting. And then our other mutual friend, Stephanie, has now decided that she's going to do it. And she has actually got the book, The Phoenix Protocol. And I was talking about it to a colleague of mine the other day. And he was saying, basically, well, I'm a physical laborer, George. He said, I work, 10 hours in the sun and I sweat a lot during the summer. He asked me, would this be safe for me? Because surely you're going to get dehydrated. What would your advice to that person be, Dr. Kiltz? Because I didn't know what to tell him. I really didn't, because obviously I'm not an expert on it myself. So over to you.
Well, so I think fasting is one of the very best things that you can do. I believe that I don't care if you're pregnant or not, you're whatever day of the cycle you're at or not. Human fasting is probably one of the most common things we've ever done, because where did you get your food 50,000 years ago? All day
Out in
long.
the field.
If you didn't hunt and gather. Now, how available is the food for you anytime you want it? It's not. We evolutionarily fasted, we immigrated, we migrated, we gestated, and ultimately we went days, if not weeks, without food. Our cells, every cell of your body makes water through mitochondrial production of ATP, CO2, and H2O from acetyl-CoA, from fat. And every time the ribosome within the endoplasmic reticulum makes a protein, it adds an amino acid to a protein, it makes H2O. And so now if you're in an environment or your activity is such that you're breathing off or sweating off more water than your body is able to make, and you're not drinking it to recover, you're in trouble. And so depending on if you live in the desert and you're decided, I'm not going to drink for a week and I'm going to go sunbathing, you'll be dead.
Yeah.
All right. And so I think dry fasting is something that any and all of us can do. And it probably is a good idea to have a coach or someone that's done it already to communicate with and talk about it. I've done 3 days dry fasting, and I've done 15 days of food fasting, no food, only water.
Yeah.
I do a little bit of coffee, a little bit of electrolyte mix through my fast. I'm on full day 2 now. I'll do 5 or 6. I might do the 7 this week. I don't know yet.
Yeah.
And so I would say electrolytes, I do mulled and salt. I love my sparkling water. I've been off coffee for 2.5 years, but I'm back on it because I didn't notice the difference. I enjoy it. All right. And so I think the Dunning protocol and fasting is one of the most amazing things you can do to heal. Rest your gut for 3 to 5 days. That's true fasting. Getting rid of food. Because if you're eating once a day and I say, well, I fasted overnight, that's not enough because there's still food in the gut, which is fermenting and digesting, and it's feeding the liver 24/7, 365 with amino acids and sugars, which require insulin to make fatty acids plus very low density lipoproteins, which is like a chylomicron molecule that contains fat, proteins, sugars, and minerals and vitamins. Without it, you're dead. And so we overdrink water and fluids, by the way. We drink way too much.
Yeah.
And so, we're like Pavlov's dog. It's our auditory, visual, and gustatory senses are always stimulated. I got to drink, eat, and snack all day.
Absolutely. Dr. Kiltz, we're coming to nearly the end of the hour, and it's telling me I have to end recording because that's the version of StreamYard that I have. So I'm going to thank you very much for this, and I'm going to end recording. Please, if we get a chance, we'll stay on and have a talk afterwards. But thank you so much, and it's been a great pleasure having you as my first interview. So I'm going to have to end the recording now, but stay on for a second.